Hey guys, Clyde here. This video is a recap and a revisit of the bronze ranked picks that me and Skada made last week just as the season was starting. We've had a week to play a lot of ranked battles since then, and we've had a chance to try out a lot of the ships. Which ones did we play? Did we like them? Are there other ships we feel like we'd add to the list? Well, this discussion is all about that. Now, we streamed this live on Twitch last night, and we really appreciate everybody who was there, who was a part of that stream. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, if you're catching it on YouTube now, that's fantastic as well, so thanks for being here. We are also going to talk a little bit about the Haida, which is a Canadian destroyer, Tier 7, that showed up in ranked in droves. There were so many Haidas out there, and I got to wondering why. Skada pointed out a couple of reasons, and we'll talk about that at the end of this video. And we'll talk about whether or not we think the Haida is a good pick. It's really interesting. We got a lot of data-driven discussion that is going to come around with that. Now, to save you a little bit of time, what we've done is put a bunch of bookmarks down in the description below that'll allow you to choose the sections of this video that are most valuable to you. I understand that everybody's busy and that you don't have to watch this entire video in order to get the information that you need. So if you're just looking for destroyer content, check the bookmark. You'll be able to click on that and just go straight there. Maybe you're just a battleship person. Go there. Check that out. I just want to make it easy for people to find the content and the information that they need. Obviously, for me and the YouTube channel, it is beneficial if you guys like, comment, subscribe, and watch the whole video. But if you can only do a couple of those things, I appreciate it. Please consider doing all of them. Okay, without further ado, we're going to go right into it. So thanks for watching the video today. That is stupid, and I love it every time. It's a bit much, to be honest. All right, Skada, do we got you? Can I hear some words?
Hey, everybody.
We got them. All right, guys. So first, I kind of want to talk a little bit. Let me go to, is this Clyde's picks? It is. I want to talk about our picks from bronze, and I'm over the top of Skada's battleships, but we'll get to that in a second. What I want to know is, Skada, did you play the boats that you put on our list last week?
Some of them. I have not played the Skada purely because I have like a 3-point captain on it, and I don't want to move. I don't want to pay Wargaming to move my Holland captain back to it.
Yeah.
And I did not play Shiratsuyu for the same reason, but I did play Udachi a fair amount, which is like similar, but with the long range torp, smoke, and torpedo reload booster, so it's a little more powerful. Had good games in it for the most part. I think I tweeted one that you retweeted where I think my comment was team too heavy, could not carry, where I had like 10 torpedo hits and 120,000 damage and we lost, right? So T61, I love T61. I haven't played it. I've actually played the bejesus out of Z39, and you know me, I don't like Z39, but at like tier, when I was stuck the other day at like rank 4 in bronze, and it was like win one, lose one, win one, lose one, I buckled on my big boy pants. I put my Z52 captain in the Z39, and I charged right up to rank out. Then I tried to qualify and felt like I had walked through a door into another dimension of beatings, but we don't need to talk about that. So I'm still in the bronze league.
Yeah.
Still in the bronze league, just like you. For one night only, I was rank 1, and now I was back to rank 10 the next day. So that's okay though. I like playing 7s.
Yeah. So on my side of the list, I played a lot of Leningrad, more than I thought. When we do ranked at tier 8, when it's just tier 8, not 8 and 9, I do play a lot of Kiev, and Leningrad is like a Kiev, right? For me, that works. It's a harassing ship that goes out there, and a lot of people just aren't ready to deal with it. And so I like that boat, and I've played the Leningrad, had very good success with it in ranked. I played Shiratsuyu and Udachi. The only reason, I played Udachi first, because Udachi is a Shiratsuyu, except for, like you said, you get smoke and rapid torpedo reload booster. The reason I played my Shiratsuyu is I reset that line recently to earn some research points, and so if I get my first win of the day and it happens to be at tier 7, I might as well be playing in ranked, right? So I played Shiratsuyu to get that benefit. I didn't find myself going for T61, which is strange because I thought I would really go for that and lean in on T61 because I do love that destroyer so much. I did play it once or twice. I think it is capable and competitive even against 7s. And so I don't think it's a bad pick. I wouldn't walk back on that one. I don't know if I'd say it's my number 1 pick now, but I still think it's a solid pick, and that's true of a lot of boats, on the destroyer side. Did you already talk about your cruisers? I've totally let that leave my mind.
No,
Take it away. Yeah.
I just kind of talked about destroyers, and I feel the same way about T61. I love T61. I saw a lot of T61s in matches I was in when there were 7s. I just never took mine out for whatever reason. I took the Z39 because it's got more health and 150s, and I just
slightly better.
I don't
acoustics.
know. I got slightly better acoustics, and I was getting a lot of work done with those slightly better acoustics, just fighting for caps. So, as far as cruisers go, first ranked match, I did take out Algerie. I love the Algerie. The French cruisers is the first line that I got to tier 10 when I started playing ships a couple years ago, and it was fun to go back to the Algerie because I really haven't. I mean, I got to the Henry, and I never went back to that line. About the time I got Henry, they nerfed Henry, and so I've never really played that line again. I think when we had tier 6 clan battles, I played DeGrasse a fair amount, which is premium Gasolina, basically. Yeah. But Algerie's great. Like, the guns hit hard. Those 203s hit hard. The reload booster could be used to effect. I had some really strong games in it early on. I tried it again this week after the reset, and I just was getting cratered in it. Just wasn't doing well in it. So I did take out Boise once. Again, the limiting factor of Boise, and I think when I did my recommendations, I said Boise or Helena, or maybe you just said Helena and I said Boise. But that range, the range limiter, you're trading the ability to shoot people further away for that super heal. So I had an okay game when I took the Boise out. I can't remember if it was a win.
Yeah, because Boise's range is like 13.5
or 13.6. It's rough.
Yeah. And then Helena's is, I think,
like 15-ish.
15.
Yeah. And Belfast for me was whenever I changed ships almost every match just because I've got so many 7s that I want to try different things. And so what would happen was if I had like a bad loss, then I'd take the Belfast.
That was your bounce up.
So I could get my star back because Belfast is such a dirtbag boat. To be fair, I saw a lot of Belfasts. Everybody like me who has one sure as heck was using them. The downside of that is that early on you had people that are like, what's a Belfast? Or maybe they're not as familiar. But once people realized, oh no, that's got smoke and radar. Like if you get spotted out early, it's like targeted by 5 if you have priority target, right? Like everybody's like, kill that guy. And
yeah,
I don't know if you noticed this in your matches, but there were so few cruisers. There were very seldom that I played a cruiser where there were more than one other cruiser. A lot of times when I went out, I was the only cruiser. And a lot of times I'd be like in a Belfast. The other team would have an Atlanta. I remember going out once when I was in the Belfast, and I had a Flint with me. Team had a Flint. So it was kind of my bounce back boat.
You're kidding me. I'm sorry. Belfast was your bounce back boat. I was trying to move me so we could see your battleship picks, and I should know to never edit anything live.
No, it's fine.
Clowned myself. Yeah. So I'm sorry. You were saying Belfast was your bounce back ship. That worked out well for you.
Yeah. And I have a lot of cruisers as well. I have every tier 10 tech tree cruiser. It was the first thing I finished, and I don't play cruisers anymore. I don't like playing cruisers in the meta at really any tier anymore. I think cruisers really got bent over in the captain rework. A lot of cruisers that I liked are just not fun for me to play anymore. So, if I'm going to play them, I want to play somebody that has just like a decided overpowered advantage, and Belfast has that at 7. And I have a Belfast, but it's kind of disappointing because I like the play of cruisers for the most part. But there's just no, everything you could do on them that was more battleship skills in the old captain setup, so you could at least make them a little bit tougher, just is gone now.
Right.
And so basically, especially at tier 7, I mean, like, you're basically just a Citadel sponge for a lot of the battleships that we're facing in ranked, my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I kind of did the opposite thing. Well, I think we kind of went different routes to get to the same place. Like, when I first played, like everybody, I did cruisers, right? Destroyers were tricky, and they were complicated, and it was easy to get blown up in them. Battleships were slow, and I only got to shoot every 30 seconds, and so I didn't feel like I affected the battle very much. Cruisers shot often enough that I could correct my terrible aiming and stuff, so I kind of went with cruisers. And I played through cruisers, and then when I came back, I did destroyers, whereas a lot of people did, I think, cruisers maybe, and then switch to battleships or whatever. And so now what I've been doing is coming back around, and whereas you've been playing all those destroyers to get caught up on those lines, I've been doing the same thing with battleships, right? And so right now I'm not playing a lot of cruisers either. I'm not sure. I really want to spend some time looking at the Captain Respec to think about a few things where cruisers got nerfed. I think they struggle a little bit when they're the heavier super cruisers for sure, because any of the survivability buffs are gone, the secondary buffs are gone, things like that for those oddball cruisers. But yeah, I think they're tough to play right now, and you're right. I think they're Citadel sponges for battleships. On my side, I'll talk a little bit about my cruiser picks. I've absolutely played Lazo and Fiji a lot. I played, I think, one game in Helena. Lazo's been very successful for me. I had my first battle ever where I used all 6 spotter planes in Lazo because I did the thing where I drove in and I got absolutely obliterated. And then with 420 hit points left, I sailed to 17 kilometers away, put up my spotter, and was just peppering battleships from 17 to 20 plus kilometers away. Lazo, and I was able to grind another 30 or 40,000 damage in that particular battle with it. So Lazo is very good at doing what Lazo does. I haven't won every Lazo battle. I haven't been super dominant in it, but I think it's been very capable, and I've won more than I've lost in it. I'll skip Helena because I only played one in it, but I'll talk a little bit about Helena in a second. Fiji, I've played a few battles in as well. I think I've played a couple more Lazo battles. Fiji's super strong, super great. It's got acoustics. It's got hull repair. It's got the smoke, and it's got serviceable guns that work in the mid-15s, which honestly is pretty competitive, especially if you're up against a lot of U.S. cruisers. So I still feel, I feel like I'm rehashing all of the last episode of this, but I still feel good about the Fiji pick. I took Helena out once, and it was strong, but not quite as strong. Its gun range is in the mid-14, so it's not quite as long range as Fiji. Certainly not as long as Lazo, but it hits pretty hard. I felt like I did pretty well with it. And as an experiment, I took out one of our honorable mentions, the Indianapolis, and I had forgotten, how long the range is on the Indy for a U.S. cruiser. It's almost 17 kilometers with 203s. The trouble the Indy has is it doesn't have the reload speed that Algerie has, and certainly doesn't have a reload booster. So I struggled with shooting often enough. It's 15-second reload, something like that. But I still think that Indy and Helena are strong picks. So I feel confident about all my cruiser picks on this one. What about battleships for you? How'd you go? Did you take Sign Up, Nelson, Scharnhorst? I know people can't read them. I'm in the way.
I similar to Skada, I know Sign Up is really strong. I didn't take Sign Up out because I didn't want to move Kuznetsov from the Kremlin down to it. I just don't want to pay Captain XP or doubloons to Wargaming to do that. But I almost took out my Sign Up with just a 10-point captain. I think I do fine with that, but it wouldn't be optimal.
Yeah.
You saw so many Sign Ups out there, right? Because it's just so strong. Nelson I took out once. I had an okay game in it, but it was kind of a situation where the team got buffaloed pretty quick. It was one of those kind of ranked matches, so it wasn't I think I ended up getting torqued out by a Haida, but it was okay. Scharnhorst I took out probably the most out of any battleship. First few days I rolled over people with the Scharnhorst. I had some really, high calibers or Confederate strong matches. I know there was one where I killed a Scharnhorst, a Gneisenau, and a New Orleans in one kind of foul swoop. It was amazing to me. It was they didn't know what they were doing. It was like fighting bots in co-op. It was just rad. But yeah, I put my time in the Sharny. I didn't. I'm trying to think of any other battleships or honorable mentions. I don't think I tried Duke of York, but I saw a lot of Duke of Yorks out there.
Yeah.
What other battleships? I didn't try Hood, but I fought some Hoods. I did take Gneisenau out a couple times just to see if having the bigger guns was better.
Yeah.
But I was doing it with a 10-point captain versus Gunther Luchins because I'm running I'm the Scharnhorst. I'm in a dirtbag as much as I can, right? So I've got Gunther Luchins on there, so he's given me magic captain powers, and I didn't do that. But I did go to the Gneisenau. I mean, it plays the same. Gneisenau's a good boat, and having the 380s helps if you can land them. They're just so. Just like they were a year ago when I leveled that line, right? They're not accurate.
Yeah, they didn't get much better in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
For battleships, I'm in the same boat as you. The only reason I didn't take Sign Up out is because I left the ship behind and took my good captain with me onto Vladivostok, right? So Sign Up for me, I think, has a 6 or 8 point captain, so I didn't take it out there. But you're not wrong. We saw tons of those dudes out there. And very strong, right? Sign Up barreling in on your Fiji. You're looking for an escape plan before your smoke is gone, right? that is the gold standard there. I had Synops that survived multi 2 or 3 torpedoes from my Udachi. Those are Japanese torps that hit hard. So, I still think Synop is a strong pick. It's the strongest if that's where you are on the Russian battleship line. And I'll leave it at that. I think we've said plenty about Synop. I have taken out both Scharnhorst and Duke of York. Both of them performed admirably. Duke of York did pretty well. I found my acoustics to be useful. I found myself as the last guy alive, or the last 2 or 3 guys alive on my team, and that's when the acoustics have come into play. They were very useful at times. In other matches, I wouldn't use them at all, right? So is the acoustics a game changer? Probably not. But I did find them useful in probably half the matches I took Duke of York out. So that is absolutely still a strong pick, I think. I think the HE works really good, and the AP works really well. Scharnhorst I found to be an absolute murder boat. Reloading every 20 seconds. I know it's the smaller caliber guns. They're 283s or something, 280s. They performed very well. You're doing a lot of cruiser clobbering. I didn't see very many battles where we had 0 cruisers. I did see some battles where each team had 1 or maybe 2 cruisers. So there's always somebody to hit with the Sign Up. And don't forget, the Sign Up can hit battleships too. So still a very strong pick. I had more than 1 6-figure damage battle in Sign Up. Maybe it was just 1 in Sign Up. Or Scharnhorst, excuse me. Yeah. In Scharnhorst this last week. So good battles in Scharnhorst. Absolutely. So that's kind of our review on these. Is there any boat that you'd add?
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of Tuesday's show, which got kind of cut short. We talked about how a couple of CCs, or not CCs, but like Super Wawa players on YouTube were talking up the Haida. Ooh, and we both don't like the Haida a ton.
Yeah, let me have you hold that. I got a slide on the Haida next.
Okay.
Yeah, but the other thing I want to get your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing I would say, I tried Indianapolis because I like its radar. I tried Atlanta. I tried Flint.
Mm-hmm.
I took out most of my overpowered bogus cruisers. Trying to think, DDs, it was mostly Udachi and Z39 that I took out. And I can't think of any other wonky battleships I have that I took out.
I took Surrey out because I'm leveling it and you were watching and you made me. And I actually had an okay game in it. I think we lost, but I did okay. Those 203s on it, they really deliver a punch. But that thing loves to take shots. I did take out Hood as well, and for some reason Hood likes me, so I did well in the Hood. Walked away top guy with 6-figure damage in that, but I understand that's not everybody's experience in the Hood, so I won't talk it up too much more.
Hood has really strong AA against tier 6 carriers, and I experienced that. So that was the other thing I did a little bit of. I took out some carriers. I took out Eric Lowenhart. Didn't do well in it. In fact, I got kind of jumped early and was positioned bad. I took out Ryujo. I took out Ranger. I think I took out Ark Royal. I don't think I took out the Tech Tree British. I did not take out the Tech Tree German. I think I was like 2-2 in carriers as far as wins go, and I didn't really feel like I influenced the battle a ton, other than through spotting.
Yeah, I think that's going to be tricky, especially if the enemy team winds up with good AA boats, and it won't always. But I think, for me, I didn't take out any cruisers because I know I'm not good at them, and I don't want to do that to my team in competitive. And you've been getting a little more skill, especially at that tier 6 level. You've gotten out of your 4s, you're up to 6s now. So I'm going to say you're at least a serviceable.
I don't know.
I didn't feel like I could have done it.
I didn't feel super serviceable in the matches I did. I'll tell you, the last time I took the carrier out, I took out Ark Royal, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll go around and I'll rain firebombs. And sure enough, the other team had a Huang He. And you and I, like, oh, you're going to bring a tier 6 cruiser. Well, the Hong Hae has like murder boat AA. And I was like, really? I take out a carrier and there's a freaking Huang He, and there's a Huang He and a Hood and a Scharnhorst, and I remember trying to make an attack run to finish off the Scharnhorst, and I got too close to the Hood's AA bubble, and he popped defensive AA, and he just disintegrated an entire bomber squadron before I could even like do anything about it. It was brutal.
Yep. I'll tell you what, dude, I used my AA on my Hood and did the same thing to somebody. I don't think it was you. I think it was somebody else. But yeah, it's formidable, you know, and it's tough. Like Huang He has a 65 AA rating. Indianapolis has a 63 AA rating, and I've seen both of those boats in ranked. I haven't seen a lot of Huang He's. I think maybe just one, but I've seen them out there, and I think people are taking it for the AA. And then I found that there weren't that many carriers in matches. I spent more matches without them, so I think people are looking at that and going, "I could take a 7 though," you know, and they're taking a 7 in instead. Okay, I want to bounce to, I think my next slide is a Haidas slide. So, Skada, you were just talking about this. I'm going to let you give the cook-off on this, the kickoff introduction.
Yeah, we both neglected to mention Haida on our destroyer picks because while we both have Haida, I think we both don't like the way the guns handle. And I'm playing through the British destroyer line right now, and you know the Haida is ultimately basically as a Commonwealth DD, it's basically a British DD. But man, are the guns floaty. Like I like Lightning. I like Icarus. I like I can't think what the 7 is right now.
Jervis.
Jervis. I like Jervis, but for some reason the Haidas guns feel like if you take the worst of the U.S. destroyer guns and make them even more archy, and I just have a hard time with them. That said, you know, Potato Quality, who is like super unicum, really great player, really great content creator, just all around great dude on YouTube.
Yeah, we're big fans.
He was like, take the Haida. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his work, right? I love watching his videos. And so he's like, take the Haida. And at first I thought he's Canadian, so maybe it's like that. But no, the Haida is really good at like tier. It's got a lot of guns. They reload quickly. It's got hydros. It's got good smoke. It's a pretty good cap contester. I took it out a few times. I think you might have taken it out a few times.
I did.
Ultimately, I went back to Z39 for one reason, because Z39 had hydros. It has guns that don't shoot as fast as Haida. It's tougher than Haida. The German destroyers are tougher, which helps my lame ass out. But the super reality there is I had a really good German destroyer captain. I have an 11-point Commonwealth captain. Like, you've got to be either dumping free XP into a Commonwealth captain, or you just really, really, really like the Perth and the Haida to have a captain that you can take on those boats and get all you can out of them.
Yeah, I'll say I threw up the slide here. I don't know if you're watching the actual slides roll by, but like you said, it was recommended by Potato Quality. When Skada was telling me this, he's like, "Hey, I watched Potato Quality's video. He said the Haida is really great." I said, "It's not. What? He's wrong." and Skada says to this, "He's unicum and you're not." And I said, "Oh, yeah, you're right." And so I did. I was like, "He's got to be right. How is he right? Right? This is the mark of me learning about humility here and going, okay, how is he right?" And there's acoustics. The guns are decent, and the big ticket for me was that it doesn't fight 9s in ranked. Right? So Haida really struggles fighting big guns, and so I put together this spreadsheet. I put it here on the screen. Y'all can check this out. What's cool about this is the Haida has 120 millimeter guns. As a result, its HE pen is 20 millimeters. Now my Haida, just exactly like Skada's, has an 11-point captain on it. I can field a 21-point captain on my Leningrad. I can field a 19-point captain on any of my British DDs that are premiums, so Gallant. I can T69, Z39, or T61, Z39. I can field a 19-point captain, right? So for me, it was really hard for me to pick a Haida. But I looked at these guns. I said, okay, why is the Haida so great? He said it has the best guns, and I disagree. So I did some math. So I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. I'm guessing not. But there's I put the number of guns on here. I put the number of seconds of reload. I put the shots per minute that this boat can put out. T61, the boat I put in top slot, the boat Skada put in top slot, shoots 60 rounds a minute across all 4 of its guns. Haida can shoot 72. And then the max damage on the Haida is more. So if you could shoot and hit with every gun and none of that damage was reduced, Haida puts out 136,800 damage per minute, and T61 puts out only 90,000 per minute. That means that Haida can outshoot T61 all day long. Now, I'm going to monologue here a little bit, which I'm already doing, but just join me on this journey. Let's take a look at the HE pen. If you look at the second row in the spreadsheet, Haidas 120s only pen 20 millimeters. The Germans are 128 millimeter guns, and then they get some special German HE pen. It means the T61 pens 32 millimeter armor, again, with my BS 19-point DD captain, not with my 11-point Haida captain, right? So Haida might be able to get a little bit better. It's not going to get to 32, I don't think, even if it goes with IFHE. There's just no way. So T61 pens more, which means those 4 shells per 4 seconds are going to go through more ship. So 90 versus 136 is not the actual comparison, but it helps us understand what Potato Quality was talking about. The AP damage is pretty good too. T61's max AP damage is actually absurd at 3,000. So it does a huge amount of AP damage if you can get the right target and actually pen it. Haidas stays competitive, though, because it's got 6 barrels that reload every 5 seconds. Then if you jump down to the torpedoes, I won't spend a lot of time on torps, but it's actually kind of interesting. You've got 8 torpedo launchers, 8 individual torps you can launch on T61, 13,700 damage. They're going to do 110k approximately. Haida's just got the single launcher. Now it can ripple fire. It can do single fire on those torps, which is surgical, and that's pretty cool. It'll only do a maximum of 67,000 per reload, but you can be a little more surgical. Now, here's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Skada talked about Haida's guns feeling floaty at long ranges. In ranked, you're only shooting people that are your same tier or lower if you're Haida. So that 20 millimeter pen problem kind of isn't as big a deal unless you're shooting sign-off, right? If you're shooting a cruiser or another destroyer, you're doing great. The other thing you're doing is you're shooting close. All the caps are closer together on a ranked match than they are in a random battle where you're fighting those tier 9 dudes. And so when you're looking at Haida, you're not dealing with the floaty shells. You're not dealing with people with heavy armor. And because you're close like that, 62 knot torps, which you can ripple fire single speed from smoke with your acoustics on, it's actually a pretty capable boat. So, like I said, I was pretty sure Potato Quality was wrong. Scott reminded me this guy is good at games and I am not. And I said, okay, let's do the engineering. Let's do the math and figure out why. And so I pulled this spreadsheet out of the data that's in the game. And that's my argument now for why I think Potato Quality is 100% right. Haida is a really solid pick. I did take it out. The reason I didn't play it a lot is because I've got better captains on other boats that are premiums, Germans, Russians, like Sims even. I've got a 20-point captain I can bring to Sims. So, okay, that's my monologue. I'm going to breathe now. Skada, any thoughts on my ramblings there that you want to pipe up on?
No, I mean, like I said, I took out Haida, and having played Jervis recently, yeah, I get it. And you're right, and the matches are closer, and you're knife fighting other destroyers, so its guns are great. And its torps, like, me, I'm more of a torpedo destroyer guy. So like having that one rack and only 4 torpedoes on it, and I tried using its torps and didn't have much success with them. If you look at your data here, the destroyer on this list that I used the most in the first week was Z39, which I was like, I hate Z39, right? And if you look at Z39's gun power, like, oh, its maximum gun power is the weakest. Look at that. Its maximum HE damage is terrible. It's got those 150s, though, that if you actually use the AP are pretty potent. But it also has the longest range torpedoes. Out of all the other boat I used was U026, which has the longest range torpedoes. But Z39 mixes 8.5s with hydros, and I use the torpedoes to effect. And they reload relatively quickly with my Z52 captain. It's set up to be more of a torpedo reloader guy because that's how I like to play the Germans. So again, this comes back to what we're going to talk about when we get to the silvers, right? And we talked about it a little bit last week with the bronzes. In the end, you got to play what you're good at playing.
100%, yeah.
We can sit here and we can talk about what boats we're getting. A guy like Potato Quality, who's an amazing player, can talk about. He did another list that came out today on his silver picks, right? And I don't know how many of them I shared. I will say to his credit, Sea Lord Mountbatten, another guy that it does a lot of great content creation. Yeah. We've actually squared off against his clan in clan battles last season or 2 seasons ago, and won. And we won, yeah. But I Kerr first him, and he's a big Kerr first guy, so that was fun. But his list, he put out a pretty simple video week 1 that was like, here's my top 5 picks, and I think his number 1 pick is whatever you're good at. Yeah. Just play what you're comfortable in, and I think that's super important no matter what you're doing in ranked. I think it's important in clan battles too, but we won't get into that on this stream.
No, that's a good point. So yeah, definitely wise words from Mountbatten. It's good to see these other guys coming out with their content. And like I said at the top of the hour for this stream, what we want to do is talk about boats and why we think they might be a good idea or a bad idea. We want to get comments and stuff for you guys in chat, and then we want to have you guys think about this and make your own decision, right? You're going to look at this. We're going to talk about stuff. We don't know anything, right? We're just going to talk about some facts and figures that we pulled out of the client. And then at the end of the day, you guys are going to look at that and go, yeah, that sounds like solid logic, or those guys didn't think about this, and so I'm going to take this boat. Or maybe I'm just really, really good at Jervis, and it is unnatural. It's like my hood game, right? For some reason, I can slap people around with the hood. Nobody else likes the hood but me. I think I'm the only person. There must be a hood owners fan club or something, but yeah, exactly. I think Skada and Skada, by way of Sea Lord Mountbatten, is giving great advice, which is, play what you're comfortable in, what you're good at, what you can constantly perform in. But at the same time, I wanted to address this because both Skada and I logged in and said, there's like 1,000 Haidas out there. Well, people watched Potato Quality's video and they took it to heart. And I think at the end of the day, the math works out. The big question is, are you good at and comfortable in the boats where the math works out? And if that happens to work out for you, great. But anyway, good stuff there.